All right, welcome back to another NovNov. As you may have guessed from the different desktop and high contrast theme, I am on a different computer than normal because today we are going to be going through installing Virtualbox and configuring a Kali Linux virtual machine so that we can start to poke at some stuff in the realm of cybersecurity. Anyway, if you haven't used VirtualBox before, it is not the best hypervisor. It's not the worst though. It is by Oracle, so you do have to accept a giant end user license agreement, just like everybody else that basically says we own you. Don't do anything weird. We can get mad at you for any reason, even if you don't do anything wrong, and then we can yell at you. But as long as you're okay with that, uh, we can go ahead and select the type of host you have. This is just through the VirtualBox downloads file website. Words are hard. And we're going to do Windows host because the computer that I'm on right now is a Windows computer. And this lets us grab the installer, which then once you have it, you'll want to go to your downloads folder. And oh my gosh, there's so much. Oh, that's what I was using this computer for. I forgot. This computer was something I was programming a game on. That's why the theme looks so weird. You gotta have high contrast themes if you want to feel like a developer, is what I was told. So we're gonna go through the install really quick. It uses a wizard, so nothing too scary. All wizards are helpful except for Radagast the Brown, who just is kind of like a bunch of squirrels in a robe. Again, I already mentioned what this is going to cover. Don't make them mad. Don't do anything they wouldn't want you to do. And also, even if you do that, follow all of their rules, they still might get mad at you. So we got to accept it, or else we're not able to use the software. And if you're not familiar with a hypervisor or VirtualBox or any of them, basically what they let us do is create virtual machines on our computer. Warning, network disconnection. That's because it's got to take over some of our stuff. But it lets us create virtual machines, which are tiny little computers inside of our computer, which means that we'll be able to use uh, non-Windows operating systems inside of our Windows operating system, is the easiest way to explain that. Kind of like how we use um, DigitalOcean to create a droplet that was Red Hat or Ubuntu, not Red Hat, CentOS or Ubuntu or Rocky. We can do the same locally on our computer with something like VirtualBox. So this is going to be how you can get it installed. If you have a hypervisor like Hyper-V or VirtualBox or VMware or anything like that already going, you don't have to worry about this part. But I want to make sure everybody that's following on for NovNov can be on the same thing. Basically, you can't have more than one hypervisor at a time. You'll start to run into weird technical issues, but this is going to be the VirtualBox Manager, which is where we'll go ahead and go in and access and use our virtual machines. So to access and use a virtual machine, though, you need to have an ISO file to build a VM from or a VM hard drive file, whether that's VHD, VMDK, or an OVA or OVF. There are a ton of different file formats we could talk about later. But I'm going to go ahead and do basic mode for this one so that we don't get too in detailed. If you're looking for more information on how to use VirtualBox, this user's guide down here is 1,200 pages, just about. Two shy. They couldn't add two more pages, make it an even 1,200. That's going to bother me forever. But if we go down here to page 3, we've got a table of contents, and you can go ahead and read through the installing, configuring, and creating a new virtual machine. I'm going to leave this up because we might need to come back. But basically, you just need a thing that lets you have a virtual machine. So I'm going to go out to get Kali. Kali Linux is one of the most popular um, security-minded Linux versions. And if you go to their virtual machine section, they have pre-built for VMware, VirtualBox, Hyper-V, and QEMU. QEMU? QEMU? I can never remember how to say it. I'm going to go ahead and download the VirtualBox image here. It's going to take a minute, specifically two. So while that is going, I'm going to pop back over to that user's guide. And if we go to Creating a new virtual machine. This will give us a lot of insight into how this stuff works. If we were just building a blank VM, you would want to run through all of these steps, creating and specifying what it's going to be, configuring it, specifying what hardware you're pretending to be. That's all virtual hardware means. And then creating a new virtual box or new virtual machine using VBox Manage. You can actually kind of skip down. Working with VMs is another good section if you haven't worked with virtual machines in the past. So there's a lot of good information in here. One of the things that I would hit on though is if you are working with a specific type of virtual machine, sometimes it's easier to go through the documentation of the Whoa, getting some massive feedback. Hopefully that didn't come through on y'all's end. Go through the documentation of the provider of that virtual machine. So in this case, if we're going to import the pre-made Kali VirtualBox VM, uh, it gives us steps that we need to do. So we have to extract it. It's 7-zip and then launch and then add. So we're going to use those steps. We're not going to use the ones from the Okay, so that is downloaded now. We're not going to follow the VBox guide, the user guide, but that is there to help out. Main reason we use this, it's a lot shorter. So first up, we got to go into our downloads, make sure we got it. Right here, I can go ahead and right click, extract all. And in this case, you want to store your virtual machine files in a centralized location. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new folder, and I'm just going to call this VMs. Right on the root of my C drive, and I'm going to extract that over to my VMs folder so that I know where it is. Now this is 14 gigs, so this is going to take a couple more minutes, specifically because it's running so dang slow because I got other things going on. So we're going to go back to the documentation for a second and walk through the steps before we do them live. So from VirtualBox, you need to select Add and then navigate to the .vbox file, and then that's going to import it for you. I hope you guys weren't waiting for some like super detailed installation. This is a pre-built virtual machine, so there's not a lot of configurations we need to do, but you will want to go through and verify that everything looks right. And then the only thing we're going to have to work on beyond that is that we need to make sure that we can network with that virtual machine. It's going to take 24 minutes, according to this, to take that out. So while that is going, I'm going to go ahead and pause the video. I know I don't normally do this in NovNov, but I don't want to make you guys wait for me. All right, I know I paused that for a second. Not normal for NovNov. Don't worry, I was just sitting here staring at my phone the whole time. I didn't do anything fun or interesting while I was away from you guys. But now we have the Kali Linux VirtualBox file folder in our VMs folder, and inside of that is going to be two things. Really quick, I'm going to show these off. Because these are kind of important. You have the VirtualBox machine definition and the virtual disk image. I'm going to go into the properties of this really quick. These are both necessary for long term, but the machine definition is that VBox file that was mentioned on the documentation. So don't delete either of these, but this definition one is what will pull the disk image into VirtualBox. So we can go ahead and close that now, hop back to VirtualBox, and let's go ahead and, excuse me, create a new virtual machine. Do we do open? Can never remember. Let's do open, C drive, VMs, Kali, VirtualBox machine definition. Open it up, and here we got our VM now. So we have a Kali Linux virtual machine currently powered off. I'm going to rename this because I don't like that name at all. So I'll go into the settings. This is a really long name. I'm just going to name it definitely not Kali Linux for fun. And we'll hit OK. It is still Kali Linux. That just changed the name in here. So now this looks like what our documentation was talking about. So we went through open instead of add. The green plus mark is what you're looking for, right? So on theirs, it calls it add. On mine, it called it open. Versioning and names are weird. Selected the VBox file, and now we got it on there. But also remember that the default login is Kali Kali. So now we got to figure out our networking. If I go to settings and then network, look, we got one option here. It is NAT or bridged. Let's go ahead and see which one we need to use. Do you guys think I should just wing it? No, we're going to do some research. I'm going to do the thing you guys might want to do, and that is use the documentation, right? So here we are. Let's go ahead and go to not virtualization. We want networking in VBox, Vobsk. I don't know what that is. Eh. Go to our user guide, actually. This would be a good place to figure this out. I'm going to control F this 1,200 pages. Go ahead and just look for NAT. Look how many times NAT comes up because it's just looking for the NAT. So let's go ahead and do bridged. It's fewer. Let's go ahead and jump down. Here we go. Fine tuning Oracle VBox NAT network service. The NAT, Network Address Translation Network Service, works in a similar way to a home router, grouping the systems using it into a network and preventing systems outside of this network from directly accessing systems. That sounds like it'll work, right? So maybe we just leave it alone and see what happens. Let's go in, hit OK. Let's try and power on. Right click, start with GUI. It's going to give us a little progress on the right-hand side. As somebody who hasn't used VirtualBox in a while, this is awful. I don't like the formatting or anything. But let's go ahead and go full screen on that. And it's so tiny. Let's go back to regular size. I know we can fix that, but let's go and delete our finish notifications. Bwah, bwah, bwah. I had some errors there for a second, but they disappeared before I could see what they actually were. Looks like we're almost up and running. There we go. So now I can do Kali and then Kali, all lowercase is the default. This coffee has been gone for like an hour, and I just keep trying to squeeze blood from a stone on it. There's the cool dragon. There's our normal background. If you want to work with View and figure out how to make it a little bit bigger for yourself, that is okay. But for now, we're just going to stick with it as is. I'm going to open up my terminal, which is the little command line looking icon there. Very first thing I got to do is IP space A to see if I have an IP address. I do. And I've got some traffic, so it looks like networking is working. We can test that with ping google.com space hyphen C space 4 for a count of 4 because Linux pings indefinitely unless you tell it to stop. So the count 4 is going to simulate a Windows ping that only does it 4 times. This proves that DNS works. I can go from Google to the IP address and that networking is okay because there we go, we've got it. And I know you guys are probably expecting to hop right into the cool hacking stuff, but never use default credentials. So first thing we're actually going to do is sudo su up to our root account, and then we're going to user add someone for ourselves. We used Smith before, so today I'm going to use throw out I don't got anything. I thought I'd be able to come up with a clever name. We'll just go with ESYBRN, Esbern, And then we can do group sudo in Kali, not wheel. Comment is user for testing, and then hyphen M to create a home. So now if we cat the etc passwd directory, I don't want to read all of that. That's a lot of stuff. Let's do tail the etc passwd, and then the number of lines 3. We'll see that my Esbern account is down there at the bottom. Now we need to set a password for Esbern, and go ahead and use a secure password just like on everything else. Not that, right? That is not a secure password. This isn't a secure password. This isn't a secure password, right? A secure password would be something that is easy to remember. Yeah, easy to remember and hard to guess, that has 8 to 12 characters minimum and has some complexity. So I'm not going to show you guys what I'm using, but if you want a tool to do that, I'll throw Dino Pass into the link. So I have a password now. Let's check groups really quick for Esbern. Make sure they're in sudo. So if I exit out of root, switch user to Esbern, and then do sudo su. There we go. And you guys may have noticed something weird right here. My shell was different. That's because Esbern isn't using Z shell, because I didn't add a tag. So the shell that Esbern is using, if you guys take a look at this right here, is just bin sh, not Z shell. So that is something that you would want to troubleshoot if you're planning on using this long term. But I'm going to go ahead and exit out of root, exit out of Esbern, and then go ahead and exit out of my Kali Kali. We're going to pick up tomorrow inside of our Kali Linux virtual machine and Virtualbox to restrict that Kali user's access and then get into some security auditing. But until then, have a good one.